No, I don't know who this is, so in the comments, don't ask. The 1001 Arabian Nights, just 1001 Nights, was a collection of short stories from the Islamic Golden Age. And in case you didn't know what that, it's a period of great time in the Middle East where culture and writing was spectacular. And then an English person randomly, I don't know if it's an English person, it could be European for all I know, collected it. And the funny thing about it is the most famous story, yeah, it's not from the Arab Peninsula, it's from China. While most people consider Aladdin to be a tale that takes place in the Arab Peninsula, its origins date back all the way to China as one of their stories. So it's a shame. But the story is pretty basic. A poor boy finds two genies, one of the ring and one of the lamp, and he uses the lamp genie to grant his wishes, mainly to be with the princess, and he succeeds. That's the main gist of the original Aladdin story. However, it's been retold multiple different times for different cultures, obviously, if you couldn't tell by the fact it's in an Arab book, despite the fact it's a Chinese tale. But let's see how Disney tried to adapt this very interesting and very well-known story. The original Aladdin went through a lot of different changes. It originally followed the original story more closely, with Aladdin having a mom, as well as having the two genies. However, this one did not test screen very well. Aladdin was not a very compelling character to the audiences. People weren't a big fan of his 2-3 friends he had, or his wanting to get approval from his mom is the main goal here, as well as the character being much younger in general. Also, so basically Disney had to scrap this as it failed miserably to test audiences. The only thing people liked that was scrapped was the one song Aladdin had that was written by Howard Ashman and Alan Menken. Apparently it's called Proud of Your Boy. You can go listen to it if you want. But yeah, the song was entirely scrapped because the mother character was scrapped in order to make Aladdin a more interesting and scrappy character. Seeing as this character is the title character, it's important to make the character more interesting, and I think they did a good job here. The character is an orphan now, a little older, and he's streetwise. He may be a thief, but he's got a good heart, clearly shown on case. He's mostly doing what he does because he's broken his other option. And his 3 friends were replaced with a monkey, and monkeys are better than 3 friends, that's all I can say. Apparently this version of Aladdin is based off Tom Cruise. I'm not joking. He's apparently based off Tom Cruise. I don't get it. I don't see it. For the character of the genie, they wanted a celebrity voice actor, and they knew immediately who they wanted. And that was comedian/actor Robin Williams. They even did test animations with his stand-up just to get him involved in the project. Of course he said yes, because it was funny. Which ended up being a great decision, because he's a really great voice actor, as well as the fact that he actually is one of the only voice actors I know that improvs lines. Which works well for a character in animation, especially one who has magical abilities, because the animators can match the fast-pacedness of the vocal range. This decision did have consequences, since Disney did fail on their contract. See, Robin Williams is a pretty cool guy, and he actually accepted the job with a very low pay, only if they didn't use his name in advertising. Disney did so anyway. And this decision was mostly done by, you guessed it, Jeffrey Katzenberg, who would love casting celebrities in this film. This isn't the first time a Disney animated film, or anime film in general, casted celebrities. We've actually had that for a very long time, believe it or not. But, he would use it in advertising, and this would be the first time they did it, and it ended up Robin Williams cutting ties with Disney for a while until they apologized after Katzenberg was cut out and he formed DreamWorks. But, you know the gist. The music of this film is really good. Alan Menken wanted a more jazzy feel to this film, which is definitely heard in the soundtrack, and he and Howard Ashman wrote a couple songs. Unfortunately, not every song, because Howard Ashman unfortunately passed away. So only 3 songs had Ashman's writing credit on them, that being Friend Like Me, Prince Ali, and Arabian Nights. They brought a new lyricist to write the other new songs, including the famous song in the movie, Whole New World. Tim Rice would do this, and he also would continue to work on other Disney projects. Seeing that Alan Menken's behind the soundtrack, you know it's going to be great, and once again, he won another Oscar for Best Score and Best Original Song, this time for A Whole New World. So, is Aladdin good? Well, what do you think? Is Disney a Renaissance film? Of course it's good. Well, actually, I don't like Pocahontas, so being a Renaissance film doesn't make it good, but you know. Aladdin differentiated itself from some of the other early Renaissance films by focusing a little bit more on comedy, as well as a little bit more adventure. Disney is still using CGI in their 2D animated films. One of the interesting ones is the Magic Carpet, whose entire interior is CGI, but the exterior is traditional animation, which actually ends up being a really great combination and makes a complicated pattern always appear on the carpet. Since drawing a complicated pattern all the time is not easy, especially seeing the Aladdin TV show where they simplified it. seeing as that TV show had no CGI use. But that doesn't mean everything looks good. In fact, this flying sequence out of the cave looks kind of bad. It doesn't look very good. This is the only time where it's very obvious that this is CGI in a Disney traditional animated movie. It doesn't really mesh that well, in my opinion. But oh well, the scene is short, and the Cave of Wonders looks pretty cool. Aladdin's a film I actually don't feel like I have a lot to say about. There is some controversy, so I guess I'll talk about some of the little controversy stuff. During this one scene, apparently people are like, oh wait, Aladdin's telling kids to take off their clothes? It doesn't sound like that at all, but you give a listen and see what you think.
Good, teenagers, take off, come on, down.
He's apparently saying, good kitty, take off and go, which is what I hear, even though the kitty sounds like it could be tiger either way. Yeah, this is just them going into conspiracy theory nut job. There was this thing where, like, all these Disney films, especially during the Renaissance, were like, oh, they're teaching kids about sex, and even though they weren't. I mean, they may have gotten a boner from how hot Jasmine is, but that's a completely different story. This isn't a popular one, but there's people actually complaining that Jafar looks too Middle Eastern, but they're all Middle Eastern, and because he has a beard, but a lot of the other characters have beards. Like Aladdin's the only guy that doesn't have a beard, so I don't understand this criticism at all. So are you complaining that the one guy is a villain, he's Middle Eastern, but everyone else is also Middle Eastern in this movie? So I don't really get the criticism. It's just a really dumb take. If there's something offensive in this movie, you let me know, but I don't see anything that's offensive. There apparently was an offensive lyric in the beginning, where they said they'd cut off your tongue. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home. They changed it to something else, where the he is barbaric. Yeah, I don't think that's a big deal either. It was just probably a joke, and they're like, oh, it was offensive, so they cut it out, so who cares? Also, there's this merchant guy tells a story at the beginning, which is the story we hear. This guy actually feels very out of place because his entire role was cut entirely out of the film, because obviously the character is supposed to be the genie. He looks sort of like the genie, has his color scheme, the same voice actor, but he's completely forgotten about the end of the movie. Let's check about the part where the genie comes back at the very end for a really weird scene. I don't really understand that. I know it's a joke, but it doesn't really it doesn't make any lot of sense. It should just end before that. Otherwise, like, he made you look. Okay, I don't get it. One of the interesting things about Aladdin, just noticed that this is one of the few princess movies where the actual prince has more screen time and more personality than the actual princess. While I like the character of Jasmine and she has a good design, overall she's kind of bland, doesn't have a whole lot going for her in my honest opinion. She feels a little underdeveloped, especially compared to Belle and Ariel for the previous princesses we had. But she's still a good character, and she's hot as hell. That's a good point. And like her dad's a little buffoon guy. He's funny though. Like the part is that he thinks he has great judge of character, but he has Jafar in his staff, and that's just a point that's made constantly. I don't know why Jafar doesn't use his snake staff on him all the time. I know it doesn't work sometimes, but for most part it seems like it works a lot. Jafar is also a pretty fun villain. He has a parrot sidekick, voiced by Gilbert Gottfried, which is always a funny just concept in general. I like how he's always conniving and scheming behind the scenes. Maybe he runs more of the country than we're giving credit, but for the most part, he just wants power, and he wants to do anything in his way to get it. I like when he gets power, he's like, he just fucks the Sultan and Jasmine, like, yeah, do shit for me, like he doesn't have anything else better to do. This guy is the most powerful sorcerer in the world, and all he can think of is, hey Jasmine, you want to fuck me? And that's all he says. The final battle is also pretty fun. Jafar basically becomes the most powerful Disney villain at the very end, where he becomes a genie, which is actually a pretty cool plot element. I like how Aladdin outwits Jafar here by using a thing he knew, but Jafar didn't because he's vain. And he becomes all-powerful, but he only has to live in a lamp now, so I guess it wasn't that great of a decision. Also, as a kid, I was confused, like, this doesn't look like a lamp at all, because everyone says, the lamp, but lamps have light. But of course, as an adult, I know that this is an oil lamp, which has oil in it, for lamps, obviously. Don't know why I'm describing this to you. You probably already knew that. But if you didn't, now you know. So unsurprisingly, this film was a huge hit. I like it, the audience liked it, and everybody loved it. The Disney Renaissance is going strong, and we even got more to go there of greatness. But this is definitely at the peak of it. The popularity of Aladdin will lead to a TV show. However, in order to promote the TV show, they created a long pilot which would eventually be released on VHS as The Return of Jafar. Unknowingly, this will be the start of the direct-to-video sequels. However, it didn't start off bad. The animation may be a little lackluster since it is early 90s TV quality. Like a lot of other direct-to-video sequels, they don't copy and paste from the original film. They actually expand on what was previously given, like plot elements that were set up previously, like what if Jafar returns as a genie and how would they even stop him in the first place. Because of that, the two Aladdin sequels are considered to be the much better of the sequels in comparison to the other ones, and ironically they're the first two. Now, the genie is not voiced by Robin Williams. Here he's voiced by Dan Castellaneta, who you might better know as Homer Simpson. In the third one, they would return Robin Williams as voice actor, including having a higher budget. The King of Thieves is definitely the peak of the direct-to-video sequels. Maybe not the best one. Definitely this one that has the highest quality, as it clearly adapts other tales from the Arabian Nights, as well as bring back Robin Williams, as I already mentioned, and expand on some of the characters, specifically Aladdin. This is also the wedding of Aladdin and Jasmine, even though I thought they got married at the end of the first movie, but who the hell knows. And both films are essentially the pilot and finale of the Aladdin TV series, which ran in the 90s, which would be one of the first big TV series based off a Disney film. Much like the other films, they remade it, and I'm just going to show you this image and just figure out if the quality of the Aladdin remake was good or bad. Yeah, it was bad, but it still made $1 billion. Yeah, it made $1 billion. You think it makes me happy? It doesn't. This is getting a sequel, by the way. It doesn't have any confirmed release date, but it's not cancelled. Lovely. Much like the other Renaissance film, Aladdin also got a musical. This one actually came a little later than the other ones. However, like the other ones, this was critically acclaimed, and people said, if you want to watch a live-action version of Aladdin, watch the fucking musical. Though it has the same problem the Little Mermaid one, where the finale doesn't really work that well in Broadway style because there's so much going on in the animated version that it doesn't really translate that well. But other than that, a lot of people liked the Broadway version of Aladdin, and if you want to see it, go right ahead. Did you know in the TV show Aladdin, he crossed over to the TV show Hercules, based on the Hercules film? Isn't that crazy? That's a weird crossover, but hey, it's cool. The other TV show based on Aladdin was this thing called Great Minds Think for Themselves, which was hosted by Genie. These were short little snippets where Genie would just talk about something. Like in this one clip I found, he's talking about baseball player Jackie Robinson, so I guess he would talk about her stuff. I can't find a lot of information about this thing, but it looked interesting. And like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin received its own comic book. Isn't that cool? It was short-lived, but, you know, it lasted longer than the Beauty and the Beast one. Aladdin has appeared in multiple video games, including, believe it or not, on the NES. I didn't even know this one existed. It looks like a D-powered version of the Genesis one, essentially. But from what I understand, this is actually official. But since it's just a D-make of the much more popular and played Genesis version, I might as well talk about that one instead. Aladdin for the Sega Genesis follows the plot of the movie. This time Aladdin, he's got a sword. He's going to stab everyone to death. The cool thing about this game was that it actually used animation stills. Well, basically it transferred some animation cells into little gameplay graphics, and the game looks pretty smooth, and it was a popular game at Genesis. In fact, it's considered to be one of the best games on the Sega Genesis, and I have it, and I can say it is fun. However, it is hard. A lot of the older games are hard. Super Nintendo also received an Aladdin game, but it's actually a lot different. Aladdin on the Super Nintendo was developed by Capcom, while the one on Genesis was developed by Acclaim. And the one on the Super Nintendo is much more of a platformer, where you have to jump on the enemy's heads rather than using a sword, as well as throwing apples. I actually haven't played the Super Nintendo version, however, I do think it looks better from what I've seen, to be honest. I actually like the way it looks and plays better, but that's just me. A lot of people say the Genesis version is better, but I don't really know because I have only played the Genesis one. There's also Aladdin on the Sega Game Gear and Master System. This version of the game is mostly running to the right and just jumping over obstacles, so it looks pretty lame actually. And there's Aladdin on the Game Boy. This is an even more demake version of the Sega Genesis game, but if you want to play it on the go, here you go. If you want to play this in modern day, a port of the game was released on modern day consoles along with the Lion King game, so you can play the Sega Genesis one that way. For the PlayStation, there's Aladdin, Narcissa's Revenge. I don't know who that is, but yeah, this one actually follows the events of the TV series, particularly after Return of Jafar, where Aladdin has to fight one of his nemesis from the TV show, who's the character who I don't know. I haven't seen the Aladdin TV show, alright? It looks like it's a platformer where you get to hit stuff with your sword. It looks interesting. Let me know what you guys think of this game in the comment section below, because I have not played it. If you don't want to hit stuff with your sword, there is an activity center for you for the PC. Released in 1994, you get to play different games with all your favorite characters from Aladdin, including watching incredibly grainy scenes from the movie. But what's better than a PC activity center game? How about a PC math game? Yes, Math Quest with Aladdin is a game that exists. And you get to look at really weird pre-rendered heads that look like shit, as well as catching bugs. Lovely. And the last one released for PC in 2005 is Aladdin Pinball. It's a pinball game featuring Aladdin. It has a unique charm to it, but there's nothing else special about it, just pinball. There's a few attractions for Aladdin at the Disney parks. Most famously is the Flying Carpets, which is just a reskin of Dumbo. But this ride can be found at California Adventure, Disney World, as well as Tokyo Disney World. I meant to say Tokyo Disney Sea. I don't know why I said Disney World. There's no Tokyo Disney World. It's called Tokyo Disneyland. In Disney Sea, there's an area of the park called Arabian Coast, which has a couple of Aladdin attractions. This includes a magic show with a CGI genie, as well as a magician doing magic tricks along with him. This also includes the Caravan Carousel, which is very lightly themed, but it's inside of the caravan buildings you saw before. You have nice shots of the park. Lovely. There is a walkthrough attraction in Disneyland Paris of Aladdin, which is called Enchanted Pathway with Aladdin, or something like that. I don't know the exact translation. Aladdin also has a live show at the parks, only at California Adventure and the Disney Cruise, where it's an actual full-on version of the movie. Kinda cool. In the 90s, there was a space in Disneyland called Aladdin's Oasis, where it's like a show and dining area, but it was replaced. So, yeah, it was there for a short amount of time, though. So I have no idea if people really like this or not, but yeah, there's Aladdin and there's some girls dancing. Isn't that lovely? Also, Aladdin is featured in Mickey's Filler Magic, which is a ride I like mentioning, so here it is. The most infamous ride on this list is Enchanted Tiki Room under new management, which is also a Lion King ride, too, but it's Aladdin as well. It's very bizarre. This was only for the Disney World version, and this version of the Enchanted Tiki Room, which is a classic Disney ride, only lasted for around 10 years before it was shelved entirely for the original version. The Aladdin connection is that Iago from Aladdin is one of the new main characters who just says everything sucks, and that's the whole ride, essentially. And Zazu from the Lion King is also there for some reason. It was a really bad retheming, and luckily, this entire thing was scrapped after a fire happened, but the only things that were gone were the fucking animatronics for the Lion King and Aladdin. So yeah, it just showcases that you can't mess with a golden ride, and I really hope the same thing happens to the Country Bear Jamboree, because I do not like the new version at all, but whatever. Here is our current ranking on all of the films. I have Aladdin in second place, our ranking Beauty and the Beast. I think Aladdin has better music, in my opinion, even though Beauty and the Beast has a better princess to say, but overall I end up enjoying Aladdin more, having more laughs, enjoying the music more, and that's a big thing, and even enjoying the animation and pacing a bit better. Jasmine I put in top of A tier. I talked about what my issues were with her. She's not a bad character, but she obviously feels a little underdeveloped compared to some of the other characters in the film, and her motivation is just, I don't know. I feel like if they actually remade it well, they would have given her better development, but they didn't. They failed miserably in that regard. But what do you expect? The live-action remake, of course, isn't going to fail for doing anything interesting. Jafar is a fun villain, and he definitely deserves the S tier. However, he does everything else a typical Disney villain does, but he doesn't really go above and beyond until the very end. So yeah, he works as a character, but I feel like Disney villains have done that better, so he's not the top of S tier. Those other guys, they do something a little bit better than Jafar. Plus, his villain song is like a reprise, and it was very short, so that sucks. Speaking of songs, well, here they are. And I believe the lowest song is just, Arabian Nights. It's a fine opening song, and it does its job well. B tier is pretty good at ranking, especially for the lowest song. We've had a lot of F tier songs. We haven't been in F tier in a while, which is a good by me, because I don't like going down there. It's stinky down there. In A tier, we have One Jump Ahead. I like this song a lot more like a couple years ago, but now it's alright. It's a good introduction to the character of Aladdin. But yeah, there's that weird woman in the middle who's like wants to eat Aladdin. That part I don't understand at all. Like I don't get it. Is that sexual? Who knows? Oh crap! I got to sneeze. Alright. So next one on S tier is where that was a long ass sneeze. Anyway, in S tier we've got pretty much every other song. Yeah, that's how good the soundtrack is. Including Prince Ali, which is great. It's very bombastic and energetic, and Howard Ashman's very good at writing a lot of fast-paced stuff in his songs, and this one is a great example of that. He's really great at writing the songs of Genie. R.I.P. He died before I was born, but still, R.I.P. One Jump Ahead reprise is similar to Belle reprise, but I think it's a little better. It's a short character to sing their most thoughts. Now it takes One Jump Ahead and makes it an I Want song. There's so much more to me. I like that part. Anyway, another reprise, Prince Ali reprise, which I also think is better than the original song. Another reprise is better than the original. A lot of times it's just a copy and pasted, but these are interesting. Prince Ali reprise is well, completely different. It's Jafar retaking a song we already heard and twisting around to showcase that Prince Ali is actually just a little street rat who's a loser, and I like that a lot. He's actually not a loser, but it's fun. I like it. It's a big power dynamic there. Alright, and the second best song is Friend Like Me. It's just classic. It's fast-paced, bombastic, and it's just very entertaining and just full of magic. You'll love to see it. Now, really all the way at the top at number 3 of this entire song ranking is A Whole New World. I don't explain much about it. It's just a perfect song. No complaints there. Though it is interesting they travel around the world really fast. But the carpet just has that magic. Thank you for watching. Next time we join the Circle of Life. Is that a good pun? No, it's not. See you then.